Hello everyone and welcome to episode 12 of the Scottish Silverback Podcast, and Greg and I are joined by Josh Law, another top British super heavyweight, and we're just going to do our usual chit chat, talk bodybuilding, talk a lot of shite, and just get Josh's view on a few things. So how are you getting on, Josh?
Yeah, really good. Nice to be back in the full swing of things now after all the bullshit that was the start of this year. Sure you guys are enjoying being back in the fully equipped gym as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You went Dubai as well, Andy, didn't you?
Yeah, I got on that illegal flight and jumped over to Dubai, so that was good. So yeah, 5 weeks in Dubai, which was like, at first I was kind of a bit apprehensive about it, but it was no, it ended up being like one of the best decisions I could have made. So it was class.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
You were just
what was that?
You were just a week there, weren't you, Josh? Yeah.
So Josh, you want to give us kind of like a bit of your background in that, and just like your competitive history and how you got into bodybuilding and things like
that? How I got into it, typical sort of just training in the gym, and a guy that I started off training with was like, I was like 16, 17. He's like, you should do a show, you should do juniors. NABA at the time. Competed with NABA for 4, 5, 6 years, and then done a few PCA shows, and now more recently up to Two Bros. I always get this sort of question, what shows have you done before? I don't really think I've really done much, if I'm honest, but now when I think about it, I've been competing for, this is 10 years now. So, yeah, I don't think I've done 15, 16 shows now. Competed nearly every year. Yeah.
How old are you?
Just turned 30 this year.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good whack of shows.
Well, I feel like I don't feel like I've done that much, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't like talking, like, I won't ever pick myself up, but yeah, if I actually do sit down and think about it, I'm like, actually no, I've done quite a few shows now. I am more than just a new person to the game now.
And you're currently working with Josh Maley, aren't you?
Yeah. Been
Who,
with Josh 3 years.
4 years you've been with Josh?
3 years now.
3 years. Who did you work with before that?
I did 2 years. I did 2 PCA British shows with Paul Scarborough. And nobody really previously to that.
So you kind of like worked your own way up in terms of like your own knowledge and that in the very beginning.
Yeah. Had again, same guy that got me first into training, Darren Stevens. I owe a lot to that guy. He took me under his wing sort of at the age of 16, made me squat, made me bench, made me deadlift. Oh, we lost Greg.
That's great. Let's keep going, mate.
Yeah. And then he sort of got me ready for my first show, taught me the basics, and yeah, just ran with it from there, to be honest. But then when it got to like a somewhat better level, I felt like I needed that push again. So that's when he actually got me. Darren got me into touch with Paul Scarborough, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. Yeah, it's quite cool how a lot of people have that one person that kind of guides them in those initial stages. And it sounds like you've obviously been quite lucky with who you've kind of come up, who's kind of been in your presence early in like your career and that. So, and we've spoken on the podcast before about how, you know, myself, I was taken on the win at Graham Park, and how that influence just kind of kicks you off in the right direction. It kind of gives you that momentum, and I think we've touched on the fact that like a lot of up and coming competitors these days don't have that organic kind of person that they come up against, and obviously they're saturated with people offering their services left, right, and centre. So it's good to hear that you've kind of come from that side of things where you've had that kind of mentor coming in and kind of bringing you up.
I mean, like I said, I credit a lot to the Darren that first got me into training.
Mm-hmm.
See a lot of young lads now starting off 15, 16, 17 in their small groups, and you wonder how many years they're just going to waste just trying to keep one that maxes on the bench and start talking about gear after 6 months of training. And it's like you ain't got any idea. But if you are fortunate enough, like now I realise how fortunate I was talking about then,
Yeah,
you should sort of pluck the brains of the person that's offering you help.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. What happened there, Greg?
I don't know. I just kicked everybody off the net, so I'm good.
I
don't know. I just I thought it was you guys, but I was like, oh no, wait, that's me.
I thought Lucas may have like fucking chewed through the fucking internet cord or something like that.
I was probably pulling all the plugs out the wall. That was good. I think you're just talking about Josh's starting bodybuilding, the gym and stuff like that. Yeah.
What you've
So obviously you're just saying there you got a very good start in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started training, it was, like I said, just the basics: squat, bench, deadlift, all within reasonable rep ranges. We also had a lot of strongman kit that every now and then you go and play around on. That was always good fun with the Atlas stones and going outside the yoke, tire flips. So that helped build like a real good basic foundation of strength.
Yeah.
And then from that, from the building strength, physique came from that. To that, which I was like 18, 19, and this is when the same guy said, right, I think you should do a show now.
Yeah.
Were
you always quite a bigger guy, or did it actually just come over time over the years, or like with strength and everything?
If I could show you pictures of me like 14, 15, when I used to play football, I'm like a fucking swimmer, straight up, straight down. Yeah, definitely not a big guy growing up, not at all. I was tall for my height, but not what you would consider big at all.
Yeah, it seems like all people of like your structure were the same. I mean, if you look at the early photos of like say Jamie Joe Hall or even your coach, gosh, like straight up and down, really long limbs, thin. But then like the amount of mass you guys have managed to put on is obviously quite impressive for your size.
Josh always puts that picture up of him coming off the beach. I think there's a beach picture Josh has got.
Oh, I've seen that.
He looks like a foot wide. To see him today walk on stage, you're like, this is a different league now.
I competed against Josh at the Pro-Am at the PCA British 2 years ago, and that was I was made to feel fucking like pubescent then. Like I was like, fuck, because I was one of the bigger boys. I probably was one of the biggest that day in the amateurs. I stood next to him. I was like, for fuck's sake. Like, there's a back double shot of me between him and Dan Welburn. And Dan obviously is a fucking beast himself. And I was pretty fucking humbling. Like, but no, it's good to see you're under kind of the direction of someone like that. It's quite funny. You see guys kind of like molding and kind of swaying towards people who are like themselves in terms of coaches. I think obviously you're a tall guy, and I know some people go to Jamie for the same reason as well. So it's do you feel like working with Josh has just been like a perfect kind of fit for you?
Yeah, well, obviously you had Nathan last week, didn't you? And he's with Josh. Again, tall guy, 6'3". Now Nathan, I think at the biggest he was like 320 odd pound plus, monstrous. It was one of the main things that when I looked, like say, to go to Josh, being taller, understanding to sort of to fill that frame out. I can get in condition, I can put on muscle mass. But as we all know, if you diet too hard and even diet muscle away or don't use that carb up process properly, if you're a tall guy and you don't get on stage at your peak, you just look stringy. You need to properly fill out, and if a taller guy hits the nail properly, I think it is a benefit. It's a beneficial thing. That I just
How tall actually are you?
I'm 6'2", 6'3". I was 100 and the two bros last year. I measured at 188, I think, centimeters.
Nice.
Yeah, it's tall. I mean, obviously, I've seen you in person. Obviously, you are tall for a bodybuilder standpoint. So the amount of mass you probably have to carry to look like big on stage is obviously a lot compared to obviously the shorter guys who can not weigh that much and just look ginormous walking about because obviously they're short-limbed. So a lot of mass needs to be carried about by the big guys.
It's exactly that. That just takes time. Like, can't remember what I first weighed in at when I did my very first comp, but it wouldn't have been a lot. And like, again, going back to the younger lads that I see in the gym now, it's how do I get big as you? How do I put as much muscle on? And it's like, oh, I eat loads, I train hard. It's like, okay, do that for 6 years. Come back in 6 years and you'll probably be somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't do it 6 months and then just be like, oh, I'm not big yet.
Everybody wants the secret, and there really isn't one. It's just I tell everybody there is actually a secret, and the secret is consistency. One word. That's
just keep plugging away with me, innit? Week after week after week.
Yeah, monotonous, but it's what you got to do. And like, not many people can keep doing the monotonous stuff because they get into the day just because bored and they want to do something else. But I guess you got to enjoy it at the end of the day, and if you can keep doing it, then that's where the results are going to come.
I think especially after, like you say, like a lot of people, they give like 3, 4, 5 months of their life to it, or they dedicate themselves 3, 4, 5 months, and they expect to have this insane amount of muscle mass, but muscle mass takes time. Quality muscle mass takes time. I'm sure you boys have done it. I've done the flipping perma-bulk off-season before, where I just literally, as long as the scale weight went up, good job. It came to diet.
I used to love that.
Started dieting, and I looked at you hit your first shot, or you look at your first pictures of check, and you're like, I've got a lot of work to do. Not a single vein.
But
it doesn't help that. Yeah, it doesn't help that when I was pushing just scales the whole time. I didn't take one photo the whole fucking off season, and if I did, I was like fully clothed, so I had no idea like how fucking shite I actually looked. I think it was. I think I'm hitting like. There's a shot at 20 weeks out with Nick where I'm hitting a front lat spread and like it's just blob. That's all it is. It's just fucking mess. It's fucking awful. I remember looking at that going, oh fucking hell. I'm like, I was sort of proper proud of like how heavy I got. But then photos, I was like, fuck, I shouldn't be proud of that at all. But lucky enough, I think
so much mass.
I know.
Again, we all know that's one aspect of bodybuilding.
The thing is though, like I think I was saying to a client yesterday is that see if you know that you can diet and like you have no problems dieting, it is much easier to kind of push the upper boundaries of size in the opposite direction. I think it's the issues that like you see a lot of kind of guys that come into the sport who have never really been lean beforehand. Yeah. And then they do their first diet and then they never want to lose that ever again. And if they do lose it, it's by a small amount. And I always find the guys who can just nail like everything in contest prep know fine that they can let themselves slide a wee bit in the off season. So
I was going to say, I don't know if you boys have found this, but all the years I've done preps and then off season, each off season, I struggled to get as fat as I was previously. I have a leaner version of myself. I still won't look in competition shape at all. But like now, I was changing in the gym the other day, and my trainer partner was like, "How do you still have abs?" So I have like the outline of abs. They're just not the definition that
that's enough.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's just the quality. Obviously, in time you're just going to keep putting more quality muscle on, and I think obviously with the more muscle mass you carry, then the harder it is it's going to get fat because obviously it's going to show more. But obviously your body's burning it at such a great rate, and obviously the more muscle tissue you've got, the more you're actually probably going to stay lean because your body's getting more efficient in a sense. So I guess with time, you see some of the pros off season, they still look great.
Yeah, definitely. But just carrying that mass around, you're going to be burning more calories at rest. And have to get more calories in. So I think within time, you get better at eating in an off season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, way better, yeah.
I remember doing off-season previously, and again, it was just like pizza. Like I'd ordered a large pizza, but I got it as like a meat feast because it had all the meat on there. Well, that's my protein. The meat underneath was the carbs, and then you've got the cheese as the fat. So that's all my macros. But, soon learn that doesn't work very well.
No. I mean, obviously, I reckon we could all get really fat as fuck if we wanted to. But I mean, like in terms of like us in an off season, what we're eating now compared to what we probably did before, we're a lot cleaner, a lot healthier in what we're doing. So in that sense, we could probably eat as much like healthy food as we want. We wouldn't actually see fat out of that. But like what I've noticed this time around is like how quick my body's changed from literally doing fuck all of a change into prep. So like how much the quality and sizes came on. It's just you've dropped like water off you. The actual like really good quality tissues there still. You're not actually eating fat, it's just water. So it really shows you how if you stay consistent and like almost like a prep into your off season, it's just such a better transition going into prep.
That was probably one of the biggest things me and Josh worked through when I first started with him. The mindset has always been there to work hard in the off season, but treating an off season like a prep, has for me made all the biggest difference, and I think why I sort of managed to take another step forward in my own progress. Like you say, food was so high and so much that you almost don't want to eat any shit on top of that as well. I found that.
Struggle too.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm glad you mentioned that actually, because a good tactic for people who do struggle with cravings and stuff and falling off is keeping the clean food as high as humanly possible. So the last thing you want to do is eat shite. Now they would argue that, but like, you know, but X amount of calories that's going to put fat on me. And I was like, yeah, but you're not going to add the same level of fat if what you were doing previously causes you to binge all the time, and that's going to end up kind of, you know, they say calories are calories. All three of us know this. That's not fucking true. You know what I mean? Like, and so that like if people who are listening who are kind of looking for ways to ensure that their off-season diet is as tight as possible, the best way is to kind of ramp the clean food up as much as humanly possible, whereby you're so bogged down in food that you don't want to kind of ruin what you're doing by eating shite and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. So
if you do have any shite with it as well, you're going to struggle with the rest of your meals. That's what the main thing is.
100%. Yeah.
So rather than having a meal off, I just would be like, I literally wouldn't. This off season, I've probably had 4 or 5 meals off total.
Yeah.
It's like, and forcing myself to do that as well, so that when I come to prep, I'm not really fussed on having anything.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that's where it's the difference between what people would call bro science and proper science-based training of a calorie as a calorie, which in essence you could say that. But yeah, I agree, Andy. Like you say, we could talk to a blue in the face about the importance of food quality.
Mm-hmm. The amount of people I still have conversations with like this day about them wanting to eat crap through their off season because they're like, oh, it's so calorie dense, and like the amount of calories in this are going to like benefit me by packing more calories in. Like the amount of calories you're getting in a McDonald's is not going to be the same beneficial if you can pack that in clean food throughout the day. It's not going to do the same for you. Like no matter how many calories you pack in a day, if it's crap, it's crap. Like if you stick shit on shit, it's still shit. It's not going to be better. You know what I mean? It's still the same. It's not going to do any benefits. So like packing more food in clean is going to be better than trying to pack away like a couple of fucking Mickey D's a day.
That same protocol applies to training as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You do shit training. It's like people say to me, "Oh, I'm training legs 3 times a week now." Training legs shit 3 times.
Even that, some people actually like do ridiculous volume of that kind of stuff, and it's just like they've just got a shovel and they're just digging a hole they're never going to come out of, and it's just they're not recovering from that.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'll put my hand up and say I've done that, and I've like kept digging holes and I can hardly take myself back out of, and it's taken time to learn that. But I mean, when you're really like hurting and you're wanting to go back in and train legs, that's just stupid. Like even I wouldn't have done that.
People have said to me before, and they're like, "Oh, I train legs 3 times a week." And I think of like what, as we all done leg sessions that I've done in the past. I'm like, nah, once a week. I could not physically put in that amount of effort and get the recovery and hit it 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I mean, that's it. It's effort. I mean, like even thinking about that effort again, my brain and like my mental state can't actually physically do that. There's no way I could go and like just do that. I could probably go through a leg session, but the effort would just not be there because I know I couldn't bring that up again.
Well, you need to get that same effort ready for, like I saw your, you can't tell me there's a different mindset to your 300 stiff legs.
No, definitely not. I mean, I actually walked up and down the gym a good fucking 5-6 times before I got there. And I was like, sitting at the bar, it's like, fuck, it's 300. And I was like, I had the picture, I was like, it's not. It's like 260 or like 220. I'm ready to rip off the floor. I just couldn't actually like, and then I eventually just went and done it. But I mean, it took a while to just think about it, getting it in there. And it's not easy to just go and pull that off the floor. You have to really get into your head. This is what I'm way to do, and way fuck this off the floor.
Again, if someone said to you, right, go do that another 2 times later in the week, you'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
It's
like I said to Andy on the very first podcast, I don't remember speaking about preparing mentally for a big lift.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I always kind of put it to the scene of the Pirates of the Caribbean when Jack Sparrow jumps off the tower and he gets out the water. And he's like, did you all see that? Because I won't be doing it again. And it's like, if I go and do that lift and I fuck it, I won't be doing it again because like I've got nothing there to kind of go and do it again. If I try to attempt it, that's it, I'm done. But if I go and do that one big set and it turns out well, that was it. I could not do anything close to that again. Even if I gave myself a half an hour rest, I won't be getting done again.
I spoke to a lot of people about this. So I PT, that's my main thing that I do. And getting people ready for what I call your top sets, working sets, is exactly that. I've seen guys miss lifts before they even touch the bar because they're talking themselves out of a lift. Mm-hmm. They're like hesitantly putting their belt on, and you can see they still want to do it. Whereas, like you say, Greg, you go away from the piece of equipment you're on, get yourself mentally focused, mentally ready, visualizing it. Like I'm sure you boys do it as well.
Yeah.
I'll visually think of a lift days before me even doing it.
Yeah, 100%. I'll think about stuff all week long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then if you fuck it up, that'll stay with you till the next session.
Yeah. I mean, your mental going into a lift is so much more than the physical. Like there was a saying I heard the other day, and it's like he who says he can't and he who says he can are both usually right. If you say you can do something, your mind is so focused on doing it, you will do it. But if you're going that say, I think I can do this, but I'm going to attempt it, you're not going to do it because you've already given up in your head. You need to totally be there to achieve it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, what you saying at now? What body weight and how far out are you?
I'm 1 week into dieting, so I'm shredded, obviously.
So you're ready to go.
Yeah. No, finished. To be fair, my peak I got to about 141 kilo. So what's that? 310, over 310, I think.
A lot.
Yeah.
But like we spoke about at the start, being taller, that's the equivalent of, you know, I don't know, being 5'6", 5'7" at 260, 270. So maybe. I have to put that tissue on to
what was
be
your
able
peak last year?
Off season.
Yeah, like before you probably started prepping for the British Run. What was your peak?
130.
Really? Like that's a big change.
Yeah, like I'm really happy with how it's gone in such a short not short space of time, but obviously post competing last year, I had a period of being off everything and just enjoying yourself a little bit. I personally feel like I need that sort of time away. Obviously went to Dubai, enjoyed the time in Dubai. And so since coming back from January to now, it's been what I consider my proper off season.
Yeah.
So after the show, what kind of time period did you take off?
So when was the show? It was October time, was it?
September. Oh, you were at Ben Weeder as well, so you were about the end of September.
Yeah, I did Ben Weeder at the end. So yeah, that would have been all the way till sort of Christmas into January, until proper start of off season. Still train, still ate everything the same, but everything else we do.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I think a lot of people need to hear that from someone like yourself, someone who carries your size and competes at your level. Like it's, I remember the guy, going back to our original conversation, the guy who brought me in, like he knew a lot of the top British pros in that, and he was like, they'll compete up until they'll do like the Olympia, they'll do some of the Grand Prix European shows, and then that's them until February. They'll come off everything until February, and now it's I think people have got this mindset of, yeah, cruises do work and they do have their applications, and they do have like their merit behind them, but a complete like detox essentially of everything. I think even physically, if maybe you're not, I don't know what I'm trying to say, is you may be taking a couple steps back across all fronts. I find my training, my nutrition, my mental, my mindset, all kind of like, what's the word?
You just need like a reboot.
Yeah, reboots along while coming off all that kind of stuff as well. Because if I'm taking downtime from that, I take downtime from everything else. And then when everything gets pushed up, it kind of all works in sync. And I think that off period post show is like is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at like obviously Kevin Levrone would probably be the ideal person to say, like obviously he took 6 months off, absolutely everything, and just like came back at like 190 pounds, then competed at like 255 or something. But when people say like I grow into shows like Kevin Levrone, it's like, no, you don't. It's like he's like,
I struggle to sort of understand when people compare themselves to pros.
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman has barbecue sauce on every meal when he diets.
Yeah.
Like you're not Ronnie Coleman.
The biggest genetic marvel of all time. You're trying to compare yourself to him. No chance.
Hector Jackson says he does no cardio. Can I not do any cardio? No, you have to do cardio. Most of us all have to do cardio.
That's something that we've not actually, I don't think we've ever discussed is fuck, it's just completely gone out of my fucking head now.
Genetics.
Cardio?
No. Oh fuck.
Barbecue sauce.
No, not barbecue sauce.
Hector Jackson.
Oh, growing in a show. So I think I've had a rant about this before on my YouTube channel, right? But I find the guys who say that they grow into shows have had a piss poor off season, and they're that like initial first like 8-10 weeks of contest prep, like everything's done to the T, from training, nutrition, supplementation, everything. And they are growing. They 100% are growing. That's only because their off season was so shite. Like I don't expect any of us three who have fucking hammered our off seasons to then go into our contest preps and add another 5 pound of muscle in that contest prep. That's just not happening because our off seasons have been so immaculate. So like the whole growing into the show thing, that does my nutting. Like you're not growing into a show. Like it's you're off. I can guarantee that off seasons are shy. I can guarantee it.
It's not like you can say Kevin Levrone during an off season, like he didn't train for 6 months. He did absolutely nothing. Have a diet, didn't train, did fuck all, and then obviously everybody's got muscle memory. And he's like a genetic kind of marvel of himself. Of course, he's going to look fucking awesome when he gets right back on everything to 100%. And like he lived like a fucking monk going into Olympia. Like he slept on the floor. He just ate the same fucking meal 7 times a day. Train twice a day, cardio 2 hours a day, whatever. He just fucking went at it, and of course he's going to change like that. Nobody can really do that. It's not like you're going to be like going into a show. No. So when people say they grow into a show, they're just, well, you just don't.
Well, it's like you said that they've just had a 6 to 8 month period similar to Kevin Levrone where they've done a bit of training. They've eaten probably 4, even 5 square meals a day, but it hasn't been religious. They haven't pushed food higher than that. They haven't pushed their training harder than what it has. Nothing's progressed. So then when they come to now, I'm in prep, everything starts to progress, and that's why they start to grow. It pisses me off as well when guys get on their high horse about being religious and being like so dedicated when they're in prep. once it comes to off season, they're going out on the weekends, they're fucking eating whatever shit they want. And if you want to do that, there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But to progress and get to a good level at this, it has to be 304 for the whole year. You can't take any days off.
Yeah, 100%. What show are you actually doing?
My one, of course.
Doing Greg.
Yes.
I'm telling you, mate, you're going to be on stage on your own. You'll be the only superheavy in that show.
I know. It's going to be a good laugh.
Let's do the next one as well, Andy.
I'll just do them both.
Yeah.
I reckon like we're in a fucking stage for all of us to stand on at our show.
I know. I think it's going to fucking collapse.
It'll be a heavy stage.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to just be an Arnold warm-up.
Yeah, 100%.
Then I would imagine, as long as travelling is all right, there's going to be a couple top European guys.
Yeah. I really hope, I've not even seen the venue, but I really think it'll be much better than obviously the Two Bros events that have been hosted lately, which I'm not like slagging in any way, because they've obviously went through hell and back to actually put on shows, and they've done such an amazing job of that. Obviously, I hope with now that the COVID and kind of stuff being a bit more relaxed, that the venues that they've got for us are going to be a bit better.
Well, today was their first
Spectator,
with a crowd. It was at the Lee Valley where they had the Ben Reader last year. It was still socially distanced and all the still bollocks rules, but it was good. It was good today.
Yeah, that's good. Hopefully it just starts to get a bit better. But I mean, like I said, they've done amazing to do what they've done and put on the show, so hats off to them.
Well, I went to the FitX Federation one, and that was really good as well.
Yeah, it looked like a big hall. Yeah, it looked quite good.
Nice.
Yeah, I could be there as a junior. Class that show, the venue.
Oh yeah. Is it like a kind of opera? Is it like up steps? It is it? It's massive.
It's huge. So I got there far too early for my tanning appointment. So I just sat in one of the balconies. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going on that stage. That's terrifying. So it was only my third show as a junior. I was like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. But it's really, really nice, that venue. I think the PCA British was there one year as well. I think so, yeah. Or one of the things. Oh no, I'm thinking of Birmingham. No, I'm thinking of Birmingham.
I've been to the Birmingham ones a couple of times.
Yeah, the Town Hall one.
The PCA, the British they do in Birmingham is really good.
Yeah, that was really good. That.
Funny you say about I'm not going up on stage, because I imagine I watched both of your pose and it's fucking incredible. You must love the feeling of when being on stage. But I spoke to a few guys and they actually do all the dieting and they hate the part of getting on stage.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, I think.
Why you put yourself through it?
Yeah. Everybody's a bit different. I mean, I do love the dieting process. I love being like regimented and like seeing the changes and just like being that strict myself. But I love like the discipline more than anything. But I don't think anybody would not be that little bit nervous regardless before they walk on stage. Like you have to be. There's going to be a little bit of butterflies. You're going to be like, shit, this is it. This is what I've prepped for. This is what I've spent all my time doing. And when you walk on and the lights hit you, I think it does fade away for everybody. But posing and like being in line with people, like being judged, is fucking hard. It's you're stressing out on stage. Like, fuck, am I looking the best here? Is this guy better than me? Did I nail my posing routine? Am I nailing my poses? Like everything is running through your head that time, and the time just like goes like that. When you're on stage, you can be there for a while, but like when you look back at it, you're like, fuck, that's it done. Like, did I do everything right? It's stressful.
Yeah, massively. I mean, when you think about the amount of work you put in I mean, if you take away the comparisons and you take away the final when you get awarded your medals, if you just do your individual posing, you say you do 14, 15 weeks dieting for 60 seconds on stage, everyone thinks you're fucking nuts. You're doing it for 60 seconds of work. But then again, Usain Bolt and top level sprinters, they do all their training for less than 10 seconds of work.
Yeah. See, I don't want to be that guy who like says that like, oh, like I don't get like nervous or whatever. But like what I've done from the very beginning is like that. See the person you see on stage. That's not me. I pretend it's not me, because then that allows me to kind of dissociate myself and distance myself from the person who's actually nervous or lacking confidence or looking about the room thinking, fuck, he's huge, whatever. And so I pretend like I'm just this completely different. I'll pretend to be the person I want to be. I pretend to be the person that's like, where some people might look on stage and go, he's a fucking cocky dick, or he's overly confident. I pretend to be that person that people see on stage. I think that's what's helped me be a little bit more settled backstage and settled up to the lead up to the show, because I know that it's not going to be me on stage, it's going to be the character I play that's on stage. And that for me has kind of helped. That's helped a lot in terms of like nerves and things like that. And that's what I say to try and say to a lot of people who compete, is just pretend like it's like, obviously people say just pretend fucking no one's there. You can't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got people shouting your name and stuff. It doesn't work like that. But you can kind of play this kind of character, even if it's just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no matter how long you're on stage. It does make a big difference in my opinion. That's what I've done from the very beginning.
I just try to imagine it's me. Like, it's almost like your way to like a set, like you just spoke about. It's like a mindset of going into like, this is just me. I'm standing here alone. Whatever the judge shouts, I'll hear. I'm ready to do that pose. There's nobody standing next to me. I don't care who I'm getting like compared to. This is just me. This is my time. I'm going to hit these perfectly. And it's like time for that me almost like slows down. Whereas like I don't like feel like I'm rushed to be in a position, or like they're already in the position and so on. So it's kind of better in that sense.
Yeah. And I thought Josh had froze.
You fucked off.
No. He's like, it's a shite. He's there. No, he'll come back on. His like's the same. So but while he's gone then, what's been happening this past week, prep-wise? I know I asked you before the show, but it's for the show.
Yeah. Not an awful lot, like I said. My diet actually hasn't changed since the initial change for the last 5 weeks. So just been kind of getting better and better. And just this is the first week I've actually seen a weight drop really in a while. So I'm still staying. I was staying quite high over 123. Now I've come down to just under 122, which is quite a drop in like a few days. But I can really feel it along my waist. Like my vacuums like went super tight. My waist just came in a lot tighter, and just I've seen a lot of detail coming through. So quite good for not actually doing anything. Just everything seems to be cruising along quite smooth. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's more so like my training, like I think I've bragged to you like numerous times like how I don't get knee issues, because obviously you've got knee issues, and like every time you bring it up I'm like, oh, I don't.
Somebody speak about by that actually, but on you go.
So it's my left knee, man. Like I think I know what it is, right? I've been warming up prior to doing quads on the bike, like doing a 5-minute warm up. And I think that's like ruining my tendons before I go into the session. So then when I do like 5-plate V squat without wraps, my tendons are already fucked. They're already like inflamed in that. So I think that's what it's causing it. So obviously I'm going to cut the bike out. I'm going to move quads to next Friday rather than Wednesday, just to kind of see if that helps a wee bit. But in terms of the diet, like I think obviously I've said before in the podcast, I think Patrick's trying to bring me in a little bit faster than JP's bringing you in. Just obviously that's just his strategy. So so I'm kind of feeling like I don't know what's the word. Drain's too strong a word. Like I know I'm dieting. That's basically how I'm feeling.
A little bit more lethargic than
aye, normally. And like happy to sit down more often. You know what I mean? So other than that, no, it's fine. I really like how I look. I'm the best I've ever looked at. I'm 11 weeks out today, so definitely kind of the tightest I've ever been at this point. I mean, we've already laughed and joked how fat I used to get in previous preps. So to be kind of this tight at this point is kind of a new achievement for me. So I'm quite chuffed for that. So
Now, what I was going to say there, like, I actually went to I've been actually having a bit of knee pains ever since I partly tore I think it was my ACL. I never got checked out. My physio thought it was ACL. It was around the back of my knee. I partly tore that one day doing hamstrings, and it took about 6 weeks to kind of heal. But ever since then, my left knee was so fucking tight. I could literally only move it about half, and it was like feeling like someone's way to rip. So after a lot of stretching and warming up, it seemed to get a lot better for my legs, but I couldn't ever train legs properly. But since then, both my knees have started to hurt quite bad. I had no idea what it was. As soon as like I was going to do some heavy lifts, the only thing that was hurting, like squats and leg extensions, was killing it. Leg press was fine. When I went to my physio the other week, she really thought, I need to try and sort your knees. So she went right up through like the inside of my legs, my knees, my calves, and she was like, your calves are so fucking tight. So is the inside, like from your knee up through your adductors. And I was like, okay. And she was like, how do you normally walk? She's like going through my walk. And I was like, I think I walk quite normally. And she was like, how often do you wear your slides? And I was like, oh, all the fucking time. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, all the time. Like, I'm just lazy as fuck. I don't want to bend over and put my shoes on or my socks on. So I just put my slides on. And she was like, it could be from that. And I was like, all right, okay. And I was like, what about like, when you do cardio, do you have like a proper set of shoes? Like, oh no, I walk barefoot. And she was like, there you go. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, do you do your cardio like on the treadmill barefoot? And I was like, yeah. And she was just like, that's what it'll be. And I was just like, no way. And she was like, seriously. So I stopped wearing my slides all the time, and I bought another pair of Vans, which I wear all the time. And literally within a week, when I went to train legs, my knee pain was halved. Which, like, I was shocked at. I was like, this is so fucking strange. Like last week when I did the hack squat, my knees were fucking like a way to explode. And when I went to put 6 plates on this week, which is like almost a plate up, my pain was half what it was. And I was actually in shock. I actually couldn't believe, like, just from getting a pair of shoes on, like a decent pair, because she was on about like the arch of my foot. If I'm walking barefoot in slides, there's no support from my arch. My feet are probably going like that, pulling the strain the inside of my legs in.
Yeah.
So from that, just by wearing shoes for a week, like just massively different. And I was like, I couldn't believe that. So my knees actually even feel better now. So when I go train legs on Tuesday, I'm hoping they're probably even better. But I just shocked me. Something as small as that has been causing me so much pain. So yeah, pretty amazing.
The boys,
any injuries?
Injuries, I've had
Pains?
Back's gone, double knees, like constant elbow pain from heavy dumbbell, barbell presses. I don't know anyone that's done any sport to a good level that hasn't suffered with something.
Yeah.
You've been quite lucky, Andy, I would have said, apart from your bicep.
Yeah. I don't know, just not that injury prone.
But you're such a stretcher and like yoga and massive into
I was at yoga today. It was fucking class.
Yeah, I saw your story. I was going to say about you doing some yoga.
Yeah, I try and so I had like an online subscription to the yoga studio that I go to, and like I need. It's funny when I hear people say like I need a PT to get pushed through sessions. I'm like, really? Like, are you that fucking lazy? I need to go to a class to get pushed through yoga because I can't do it from home. So I can't
get... I'm doing it in my living room. No fucking way.
Oh, it's shite.
No
it's
way.
So shite, mate. You end up pausing it. You end up sitting down like, I'm not even fucking listening. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But
I look like a fucking fanny. But at least if I go to class, there'll be loads of fannies there. That's fine.
Well, it was just me, Reagan, and one other bird in the class. Only 3 of us. No, I think for me, like, when I done my bicep in, that was like a kind of wake up call to be like, right, you need to do mobility pre-post. You need to kind of invest in yoga and all that as well. And I think that's kept me on the straight and narrows in terms of injuries. I mean, the knee, it's not an injury. It's probably just kind of like I said, I think it's from using the bike to warm up on prior to legs, and I keep the bicep in check as well. So yeah, I think I've been fairly lucky. Like, but it's funny. Like you say like you do yoga, and like other guys who compete, they're like, I thought about doing that, but I didn't want to like bite the bullet and actually do it. And I was like, it's an hour of someone forcing you to stretch. Like that can only be a positive thing. You know what I mean? So, like I do really enjoy it. I do look forward to it, but it's like a leg session while you're doing it. Like it's shite. It just needs to fucking end. But yeah, it's definitely something that I credit to lack of injuries anyway. So
I have given them a go in the past. I've done yoga and I've done Pilates was another one. And like you say, 10 minutes, or I won't even say that, like 4 minutes into the old, what is it, downward dog.
Downward dog.
Yeah, your head's my shoulders are burning, my legs are shaking. I'm thinking, this is harder than fucking training.
Yeah. And then like, all you can hear is like the drip, drip, drip of all the fucking sweat.
Oh, mate, sweating like mad, yeah.
I remember, I do a type of yoga called Vinyasa Flow. So it's like it's like gentle stretching, and there's like power Vinyasa, which is actually like a fucking workout. I remember accidentally booking that, going to that, and then like the yoga teacher actually come up to me in front of everyone, was like, "You sure you're okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fucking fine." Like, you know what I mean?
You shouldn't be here.
You shouldn't be. No, I remember like the one that my girlfriend and I go to. It's like a proper like yoga studio. It's not like it's got like fucking like shrines and shit and fucking incense and all that sort of stuff, and boys drinking fucking tea like that out of a bowl. I'm like, fuck, I do not belong here. Rocking up in trackies and like Nike Airs and that. And but when I first got, I do now. You know the fucking leggings.
Are these Speedos?
No, you know, no, those fucking lovely leggings that I've got.
Oh yeah.
But I've got yoga socks as well. I've got a yoga mat. Fucking yoga everything, mate.
Full blown yogi.
100%.
You'll be hugging a tree next.
Oh, 100%, mate. I'm getting there.
I just think it's anything I can bring myself around to do.
Mate, that's what we should do. Instead of doing a training video next time, we'll just film us going to yoga. That's what we'll do.
There's so many more sessions than me. Can you imagine the state of me? I look like an idiot.
That's what people want to see, mate. People want to see that.
I don't think people realise how hard it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to get a few warm-up sessions in before I do that. Yeah, but Josh, back to your training. Have you always been quite, well, obviously the way you train is probably quite like one build up and a back off and probably some intensifiers in between. Have you always trained like that, or is it more when you moved over to Josh?
Of the last 4 or 5 years, I'd say it's been more like that. This is what I always try to explain to people when I'm training them, trying to make them feel at ease, is that when you go into the gym for the first time, Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, all the greats, none of them knew what they were doing for the first time. So us all included as well. So you'd go in 3 sets of 10 and, you know, start learning about like German volume training. Then it was 20 reps of everything. And then you start watching Ronnie Coleman and Branch Warren. So then it's 1 rep with as much weight as you can. So name a training system, mate. I've probably tried it. But for the most progress I've found is, like, say, a top set, back off set, and a lot of sort of then, like you say, intensifiers afterwards, which you think of more like blood volume work. And yeah, I find it hits all aspects of training then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we've all went through various types of training, I would have said. But you just kind of obviously, over time, even if you've been told like something to do, you kind of adapt it in your own way, which you kind of know which works for you more.
Exactly.
Someone you've been sticking with for like 4 years is definitely going to be working there if you see the results from it.
And that's the main thing, mate. There's guys out there that can look at a weight and just do the shittest form and they're great. So you can't tell someone like that to do it differently because they're progressing. Whereas, you know, I know myself, I've trained enough years now to know movements that work well for me and movements that I just sack off completely. I can deadlift and barbell squat, nothing major, but good weight. But I know to progress and to grow properly, barbell squats for one definitely won't grow my leg. I get a big ass. I get a bigger ass in barbell squats. but I won't help grow my actual legs overall. Like more hack squats and leg press now.
Yeah. I honestly find it very rare to find somebody who can do barbell squats and keep growing their legs. I think, Andy, you're probably one of the guys that actually know it, but there's not many people I would actually say would build a great set of legs from the barbell squats, usually just because of how they do it. It's very, very rare you find somebody with great legs that just does barbell squats.
Me and Dan McNabb spoke about this. Someone like, you watch James Hollingshead squat?
Yeah,
and
awesome.
The way he squats, it just looks like it's all going through his quads or all going through his legs, basically. He's not having to
it's the motion
use
of
anything
it.
else.
When you watch him, that motion, it's so fucking smooth, and every single rep looks identical to the previous one, and it's just so comfortable to watch. It looks easy. That's when you know it's doing something.
You can imagine his legs are pumped like mad.
Yeah, but even if you put him on a safety bar, it still looks just the same. Pack looks exactly the same. He's just got such a connection with his legs. It's just such a fluid movement for him. There's not many people that can do that.
No. But then even to a sense of, for like triceps, one thing I know for sure, dumbbell overhead just ruins my elbows. Absolutely. I get nothing. I get no tricep. I just get absolutely fucked elbows. So I sack off.
Yeah, anything I can put behind my head, my shoulder takes so much strain from it. So I just don't actually, the only thing I can do is skull crushers. I can't dip because my shoulders take it all.
Yeah.
Even like close grip pressing, my front delts take that. So I'm very limited to the kind of heavy stuff I can do with triceps. I've just done for years of damage though.
You have to admit there's going to be general wear and tear from training, but when you're finishing a set or you're finishing exercise and you've just got nothing muscular and it's just all through tendon and joint, you need to think about, one, either how you've done it, or two, about just leaving that exercise alone completely.
Yeah.
Like I'll get people, before I train them, I'll get people to do like a bodyweight squat. If they can do it, okay, there's a couple of things I can change about it. Then I get them onto a barbell. If they can't bodyweight squat, why the fuck am I going to weight it?
Yeah.
You're just asking for trouble.
Yeah,
100%.
The biggest thing I can see people like really trying to do now is like when people shout lock into the set, and it's like literally when you press like every rep, like we were saying, like James and squats, like every movement is exactly the same. There's no change, there's no foot wobble, there's no back or bum movement. Every rep looks exactly the same. So when you see people doing the pressing, there's sometimes like a change their grip, they'll walk about in their seat, stuff like that. Like it should just be constant movement. That's you locking into the set, because that is your perfect movement. That's where the muscles working the best. There's no drive from the elbows, pushing from the shoulders, and like that. Like you're locked into where you need to be for the muscle to work. And that's where a lot of people go wrong in their sets. Like they're trying to push too much weight, or the movement's not right for them, and they're like moving about, or they're trying to thrust what other areas to get the weight to move. And that's where growth is not going to really happen. You're probably going to walk away with someone else sore or someone injured at the end of the day.
Another best one on that is Dorian Yates' blood and guts incline barbell press. Nothing else moves. Nothing.
It was so perfect.
So controlled, negative, aggressive, concentric back to the top. And the first rep and the last rep, pretty much. The bar speed might slow down, but the bar path, the bar control, nothing changes.
Definitely. I'm trying to think of other people that are really good at that. But I mean, like when you see people who have such great connection in a set, you can really see it. It's not just like, oh, that was a good way to move. It's the perfect motion of negative to positive, and there's like the changeover from both is just so fluid. There's no jerking, the body doesn't move. It's just a perfect motion. And that's like the people you can actually see are making progress in the gym because they've got that connection. They're actually locked into the set, they're locked into the weight, they're moving it instead of actually like trying to use power through it. The muscles moving it.
This is another thing I speak to a lot about with warm-up sets. Too many times people are using warm-up sets or not getting the most out of the warm-up sets. What I mean by that is, so they lay back, they can do 50 kilo dumbbell presses, let's say. So they lay back with 15s and they're just chucking it up, chatting to their mate as they're doing it, chucking back 30s, another few reps, chuck it up. They're not thinking about, right, how am I kicking these back? Where do I want to be positioned on the bench?
Yeah.
From the top down, what's the control on the negative? So that by the time you get to your top set, none of that you need to worry about now because you've gone through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you see so many people that will piss around and, again, like I say, not make the most of their warm-ups. And then by the time it comes to their working set, they fuck up the kickback and then the set's just wasted.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had this talk with the gym owner where I'd go and train legs. He was kind of asking me a bit about my training and like how I approach sets and how like they'll work up to my main sets. And like when I was watching them train or watch some people train, like when they're building up to their sets, they're sometimes doing like 5+ reps, sometimes even 10.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was like, how can you go into like before your sets and do 1 rep? And I was like, I'm just feeling the weight. I'm priming my muscle to feel a little bit more weight before I actually put the main load in it. And I was like, by the time I get to my main load, if I've done so many reps and sets before that, and like with a decent weight, I mean, if you're going on the hack and I'm going to do 6 plates, and say I just like done a quick warm up with a 5 plate, if I went and did like 3 or 4 reps on that, that's going to affect my top set.
You're taking reps away.
I'll just do some work there. Yeah, I've took some work away from my top set there, which inevitably that is where I'm wanting to do the damage. That's where my energy I'm wanting to put like 100%. My build-up sets, I'm just really priming and getting my feet positioned right, where I want to sit in the machine, my body movement, my control, like my knees are going to take this. I'm just wanting to feel this. I'm not wanting to do any work in a sense. If I can move 5 plates quite comfortably, I'm like, right, let's go for 6. I don't need to do 2 reps. If I moved 1 and it felt great, fucking move on. I want to move on to my top set to do my main stuff. And that's where I think a lot of people are not progressing enough because they're trying to do too much in their build-ups. They're actually expending energy they need elsewhere.
Well, this is again comes back to a different style of training when guys do 3, 4, 5 sets of 15.
Yeah.
Well, if I think of doing a set of 15, I will give everything to that first set to get 15. I couldn't get another set of 15.
No.
So if you'll do 15 5 times, you've saved yourself from set 1 and saved yourself from set 2 and saved yourself from set 3 because you'll know you're doing more work.
But again, we could argue here that then Jay Cutler's wrong.
Well, this again, you can't tell someone that's got a result to change how they're doing it. But I've like you said, I've seen plenty of guys. Again, Dan McNabb, we go back and forth about Sean Roden. What Sean Roden watch him leg press.
Oh mate, it's awful.
The guy has got phenomenal legs, so you can't tell him shit. He's Mr. Olympia.
And not just like from the leg, like the sweep comes off the top of his hip and there's like deep insertion cuts and you watch him fucking half rep shit with his hands on his knees.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the actual fucking, how's he got them? And we're actually like going deep, proper, heavy.
Yeah.
Like,
I do that blowing me out.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Well,
even like
they
watch like Phil Heath do stuff, it's similar. It's just like these guys are just God-given genetics, surely.
That's what they say. They say don't go to someone, don't ask the guy with big arms how to get big arms. Get the guy who had shit arms how to get big arms. You know, it's that
unless
kind of like that cliche. No, unless that good old shit, that cooking oil.
Yeah, bit of olive oil never hurt anyone.
Yeah. It's very hard to sometimes overcome a shit body part because at the end of the day it could just be shit and there might not be a way around it. But when you see people just like doing what he's doing with like amazing legs, you're just like, oh fuck this, I'm taking up golf. It's just hard work.
There is that feeling, like you say, you see a pro level, top pro level guy, and you're like, it's one it's motivating because you see what's possible, but it's also demotivating at the same time because you're like, fuck's sake. I never forget, I saw one of the first body powers I went to, saw Dennis Wolf. What was I at the time? I don't know. I was early 20s. Seeing him in the flesh, I was just staring at him like a lion at the zoo. I was just looking at him like, what the fuck is that? I'm sure he thought I was just some weird kid at the time. Yeah, I just thought he looked absolutely off the fucking scales.
Yeah, Dennis Wolf's a big. We're big fans of him, Andy, aren't we?
Yeah, massive. I think it's weird. I think I said to you, Greg, is that see when he was in his prime, I wish like I took more time to appreciate just how fucking good he was.
Yeah,
because like he was always he's always around that third to fifth region in terms of Olympia. And but when he puts up like throwbacks, I'm like, what the fuck? You forget just how that it's his frame. You just look at that kind of physique. So similar to yourself, mate, where you just like that's just a fucking frame. Like that's just scaffolding with fucking flesh on it. It's fucking mad.
Yeah. Go back to like what we're saying there about like well, you said there, don't ask the guy who's got big arms, ask the guy how he got big arms. Like that's the people I like to look to. I mean, like we'll use James again, James Hollinshead. I mean, he wasn't always the James Hollinshead we know now. You look at him like trying to get his pro card. That's not the same guy. He's fucking put in work.
Yeah.
Now, whereas like you look at Phil Heath, he was always Phil Heath. He was fucking good. He was good when he started, man. He was good playing fucking basketball. It's like you need to train. It's like these guys were just given some amazing genetics, whereas like you see the guys who fucking work to get there. That's just a different level of what they've had to put in, and that's the guys I look up to and like want to. Because that's I believe who like we are. We're probably given average genetics, and we've had to work hard to get to where we are, and that's just where we're going to have to keep working. But we weren't given like that hand of like looking at a dumbbell and sticking on 20 pounds. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to put in work in the gym and like consistency, and that's the guys I really want to look up to because that's who we've got to be.
Yeah, good. I mean, like you say, the graph that Hollinshead has put in, I'd love you to maybe do a side by side of if you can see, like you say, when he turned pro to what he is now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there was many people that when he turned pro said, well, he's not going to do anything as a pro. And I think that's why now he also has such a big following. Yeah. It's because his physique is just graft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he's one of the strongest fucking bodybuilders out there at the moment. And like that hasn't always come. I mean, that's just put in like work after work and being consistent again with training. And he's got to that strength.
I would say like the guys who are like holding like who are the strongest, like the guys who we talk about, like the Sean Rodens and the Dexter Jacksons and that. Well, obviously, we're not taking anything away from anything they've done, but like they, you know, do they use like subpar weight because they're like, I don't need to get into the mindset that we were just talking about. I don't need to take a hack squat to failure. I don't need to do any of that shit. Like I can grow without that, and I can be Mr. Olympia without that. So the guys who you see putting up these fucking crazy numbers to get that size, that to me, that's real bodybuilding. Not that fucking John Roden, people like that aren't.
Yeah, everyone knows what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. But the guys who are shifting numbers like us three, and there's fucking a whole list of others as well in the UK. Like those are the guys who fucking are putting themselves in harm's way to get that level of mass and to get that level of size.
I think one of the best guys for the example of both would be someone like Flex Lewis. Mm-hmm. He's got the genetic potential, but you watch his training videos and he just breaks himself every time.
Yeah.
Which ultimately, yeah, I was going to say that's why he had to take the time off that he did and not do the Olympia last year. And he got loads of the old, can't think what it was now, but was it not plasma? Was it plasma? Stem cell, that's the one, into both shoulders, both knees. So can't say he hasn't done some damage to himself.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, he's obviously had to adapt his training. His training's probably changed dramatically over the years to obviously go around that kind of stuff. But when you watch some of his older stuff, I mean, these guys can shift weight. And it's probably like gotten to a point now where it's like the risk reward of him needing to do that. It's not there. I mean, you look at his legs when he was like, how old did he be? I can't remember. He was 19. It was
a junior. Yeah.
I've never seen legs like that on a 19-year-old. It was crazy. Yeah. Absolutely nuts. But then again, that's the same talk we could have there about Jay and Ronnie. When you look at Ronnie's training compared to Jay's training, and you look at them now, look how healthy and fit Jay is. He got results from doing his style of training. It's probably saved his joints massively. You look at Ronnie, and it's a sad story to look at him now. He's just like, he's broken.
Yeah. Again, I think partly with Ronnie's though is he kept training after his surgeries as well, wasn't it? Still in a recovery phase, and he just was straight back in there. I mean, you've got to love the determination of the guy and the love for training.
Mindset is nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
but he's broken now to a point. But I mean, even if he didn't do the training after the surgeries, I reckon he was still pretty fucked. I think he snapped his vertebrae doing fucking deadlifts, and it's like stuff like that. He's just broke him.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the videos of I think it was on his last one or something. He says he's squatting.
Yeah,
he goes down. And he felt something go pop.
Yeah.
You
I think he just says that I think he got another 2 reps after. I think he stopped.
Yeah, no, but then he went on to do he's like, I went and did some leg press, and then I did some walking lunges.
Yeah, and then I got home and I laid down on the sofa and I couldn't get up.
But then he's like, and then I thought I'll go to the A&E now. He's fucking nuts.
That's just chicken.
Things all right. Would you guys take what he's got now for the success he's got?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He drives around in the Bentley.
Mate, you're already halfway there. Come on,
My back's pretty good now, mate. My back.
Even after your 300 kilo?
Feels great, mate. Feels great.
They were good reps, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, I've slipped 2 discs years and years ago. My back was in a bad way for a long time, and the doctor said to me, don't ever do deadlifts again. And I was saying to myself, these guys always say the fucking the worst thing possible. Don't do this stuff because you will go back the way. But the way I see it is, I need to strengthen my back so I don't use my spine. So starting off deadlifts light again, and I don't do them with a belt. I'll never do deadlifts with a belt because I strengthen my core so much. And just by doing that, I've built myself up to what I'm doing now, and I don't have any back pain because my back and core is so strong. So obviously going against the doctor's word, I had to think to myself, surely strengthening the muscles is going to be much more beneficial than me not doing anything and inevitably maybe hurt my spine again because I'm going to go in the gym and do stuff. So building it up to optimum strength is going to be so much better for me. But I would say that was the best thing I ever done, was going back in and doing what I fucked it doing, but just doing it properly and learning from my mistakes, and it's got me to where I am now.
So you would take Ronnie's success then?
I would. I think I would. I'd want that success, but I mean, I look at it in the sense of his pain he's in every day, and probably not be able to do anything with his kids. I mean, I would. That's what I think. Obviously, not be able to do stuff with Lucas, that would be heartbreaking for me. So I can think of that way. But I mean, in terms of the success, there's nothing we wouldn't want from what he's got. He's probably the greatest bodybuilder and biggest legend of all time in that sense. He's the king of bodybuilding. So everybody wants that title.
Yeah. Josh, have you got kids?
Nah, we're me and my fiance are dog people.
I was one of the two.
Yeah, we'll have more dogs. We'll have loads of dogs, but we got between us there's 17, 18 nieces and nephews.
I thought you were about to say dogs. I was like, holy shit.
That's a lot of dog shit.
Fuck. Big house.
Nah, nieces and nephews. So we got a lot of kids in our lives anyway, as is. But when we first got together, it's something we spoke about straight away, and it's just not for us, and that's the way we are, mate.
Yeah. Is that? Have you always been like that, or has it been?
Yeah, I think so. It's never been. I've never had that maternal instinct as such. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. You know, Lucy, my fiance, when she's with her nieces and nephews, she is amazing, and you would think that she wants kids. But she gets that a lot. Mm-hmm. Me, on the other hand, I've got no patience for it. if I'm with my nieces and nephews and whatnot, and I'll give them something to do and they don't want to do it, I'm like, fine, and just walk off.
I think everybody says it's very good looking after kids for a day, but you can't wait to hand them back.
That's the best thing about nieces and nephews.
I'm saying, I just can't wait to throw them in bed at the end of the day.
No, Greg, see when you send me stuff, I look at my phone and I go, as if that's not me.
But you know what it is? It's when
Lucas has done.
Yeah, it's when you're out at dinner though, isn't it? Out at dinner and you're enjoying your meals, just you and your partner, and then you just hear a scream, just a massive scream, and the kid's running around, he's tipping the food everywhere, And that's when me and Luce would like look at each other and go, we love our dogs.
The best is when you're on a plane and there's someone screaming. I was like, that'll be my son. Just fucking everybody's day up.
Yeah. What kind of dogs have you got?
The best, man. Chihuahuas.
Right. 2 Chihuahuas?
4.
Why is it always the biggest guys have the smallest dogs? Is it just so you look bigger?
To be fair, mate, Luce had him before I actually met her. We didn't get them together, but I'm their adopted dad. But we've got big dogs in the family as well. So her brother's got a cane Corso. Her mum's got a British Bull Mastiff. Another brother's got a Bull Mastiff as well. So there's big dogs for me to go and take out on walks as well.
Yeah, my next dog's definitely gonna be a cane Corso. For sure.
Unbelievable. Again, when to see Dan McNabb in Bristol, his boy, can't think of his name now, Abe. Unbelievable. Abe and Ronnie. Ronnie is a Frenchie. But yeah, they're beautiful dogs.
Yeah. I think I live in a top floor tenement, so there's no chance I could have a dog that big. But 100%. That's the next. Once I get a house, that's gonna be the first purchase. I think for any furniture, it's gonna be a cane Corso.
Yeah.
Is that the dog you posted the other day?
Aye.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah, cool dogs.
Right. Well, I think we're approaching an hour and 20 minutes. So I think we'll wrap it up there so that people aren't kind of getting sick of our voices. So
talking about dogs now, we've gone for bodybuilding.
I know we've rattled off everything to do with bodybuilding now. So no, Josh, we appreciate you coming on. I think it's good to, like I say in every fucking podcast, it's good to get the British guys on and get everyone kind of on a conversation level, and so we see each other at shows, and we can all have a good chat and that, and make the experience of competing just that wee bit better for all of us when we're all kind of supporting each other and know each other's ins and outs. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on, and obviously we've got one of these every week, so hopefully we'll get you back on again when you're closer to beating Greg and tell us all about your fit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Anytime.
Remember, mate, it's 1-0.
I'm not in the show, mate. I'm not in the show.
You didn't come to the Ben Weeder, mate.
I just left on a high. You left on a 1-win.
We'll be going a few times yet. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, got plenty of time, mate. Plenty of time.
Loved it, boys. Really good.
No, thank you very much for coming on.
That.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, steady, boys.
Right, cheers.